What's up, curious youngsters? If we are always wasting time doing useless things or watching millions of videos, ending up with such weird YouTube recommendations, why not spend a few minutes on Mr. Curiosity? Learning 30 totally epic facts that you're going to forget in 10 minutes, but these aren't just any facts. These will totally blow your mind. For this and much more, these are 30 things you didn't know 5 minutes ago. 1. While it appears to be from Fortnite, this cube is not Kevin. Instead, in the impressive nature, we can find these rare mineral formations called fluorite. And although they seem freshly out of a science fiction movie, they are real. 2. In Japan, there are so many people moving on public transportation like trains. They invented a profession called ojila or pusher, and as expected, they are people who are dedicated to forcibly getting the last passenger into the carriage, as if it were a human Tetris. 3. If you thought your pet was ugly, it's because you hadn't seen the Sphinx cat, a very rare breed of cat that is characterized by its lack of fur, and although it looks completely bald, it actually has a very thin layer of hair. Before worrying about the kittens, know that this is their natural state, not the result of human experimentation. 4. Looking at random data from nature, we find that an ant can carry up to 60 times its own weight. If we compare it with people, it would be like seeing a small child carrying a car on his back. Shit. 5. A slightly darker fact is that there are over 200 corpses of mountaineers at the top of Mount Everest, because retrieving them is a great risk, and they are left there as if they were danger signs for other mountaineers. 6. When it starts to rain. Most of the time, if we have soil or plants around us, we can start to smell a very particular scent that most people find somewhat pleasurable. Well, that smell has a name, and it's called petrichor 7. After the release of Finding Nemo, people started buying a lot of clownfish, which almost caused the species to go extinct in some reefs. A real tragedy caused by our friends at Pixar. Have we all watched Scooby-Doo at some point? Very few of us likely understood its profound message, or the Easter egg behind this series, which, every time they discover the monster or the villain, they realize that it's a person, thus showing that the real monsters are humans. Are you sure you didn't know that? Johnny 9? For legal reasons, it's impossible to photocopy bills on our printers. If you want, you should try it or simply look for videos of people trying to photocopy money. Apparently, the programs recognize the bills, and they will simply give you blank or error-filled sheets, thus preventing you from having your easy money at home. 10. Whether you like coffee or not, you should recognize this logo. It's Starbucks, the world's most famous coffee shop. Where's your curiosity, Mr. Curiosity? Well, very few people know that the logo represents a mermaid holding her two tails with her hands. In addition, until 1971, the logo was much more explicit, and then it was changed 11 times. If you thought your pet was big and powerful, it's because you didn't know about the turtle light? Apparently, it's the largest sea turtle of all, measuring over 2 meters long and weighing over 1,000 kilos. In addition, it can dive to depths of over 1 kilometer. 12. The most well-known fast food chain in the world. McDonald's sells around 75 burgers per second around the world, which makes it feed 1% of the world's population daily. It also holds the record for being the world's largest toy distributor. Give me a burger. Ronald 13. Surely among all the people who are watching this video, there must be several who play or practice chess regularly. And one of the craziest things about this ancient board game is that the well-known phrase, checkmate, comes from the Persian language shatmat and means the king is dead. 14. In 1938, Action Comics, now known as Detective Comics, bought the rights to Superman for $130, which today would be about $2,515. When you think whether you are lucky or not, you should remember that only 15% of the population has never fainted or had to use a cast for a broken bone. I find these statistics quite intriguing, though I'm unsure of the reason. 16. If you like drinking alcohol or just like curious data like me, you should know that. A team of British scientists spent several months researching and finally managed to produce a vodka called Atomic, which is a non-radioactive vodka produced with grains obtained near the Chernobyl exclusion zone. But what danger? 17. Nature is impressive and lets us see such epic and precious animals as the golden tiger, which, like the white tiger, is not a distinct species, but is a tiger with a very particular color variation due to a natural mutation in one of its genes. The Chinese are more advanced than the rest, as usual. And in the city of Chengdu, in recent years, they have been developing an artificial moon. Yeah, just as it sounds. It would be a satellite with reflective panels that would be brighter than the moon and would give the city so much light at night. That would reduce the costs of public lighting. 19. In very strange laws from different countries. We find that in Alaska it is legal to shoot a bear during hunting season. But however, is it illegal to wake it up if it's sleeping just to take a picture? Yeah, Americans are really crazy, 20. As we know, the worst day of the week is Monday. We have to go back to school, to work, and to our routine. But the funny thing is that Monday backwards means Sinal. What in the Middle Ages was used to denote a method of torture which caused a very slow and painful death. Let's see if you knew that. Willie 21. Gordon Ramsay, one of the most well-known chefs in the world, while filming one of his cooking shows in a prison, he challenged an inmate to a vegetable chopping competition. And he was so impressed with the performance that when this inmate was released, he was hired by the chef for one of his restaurants. Great, 22 out of 30 things you didn't know 5 minutes ago. We can't miss the stupid deaths fresh from 1,000 Ways to Die. And in this case, we are going to find that the famous owner of the Jack Daniel's whiskey brand died after breaking his safe because he couldn't remember the combination. He hurt his big toe, then it got infected and they had to amputate his leg, but he died shortly after as the infection had spread throughout his body. 23. On April Fool's Day of 1989, billionaire Richard Branson designed an unidentified flying object, shaped hot air balloon, and hired a dwarf dressed as extraterrestrial to come out and scare anyone who was nearby when it landed. Well played, friend 24. As we know, hurricanes and cyclones have people's names. This is true, according to Clementi Rush, a renowned meteorologist. He began naming the storms after disliked politicians, claiming they caused great disasters, just like the politicians themselves. 25. One of the things that surely very few people dare to do is to jump with a parachute from an airplane or do the famous base jump, which until recently I thought was called that because it was done from a base. But it's not called base because it's an acronym: B for buildings, A for antennas, S for spans, which means bridges, and E for earth or cliffs. In Germany, they had the brilliant idea of putting games on traffic lights. It wasn't the Chinese in this case, but the Germans. And in some German cities, you can play Pong against the other pedestrian who is on the other side of the street while both wait to cross. It may not be Fortnite, but it's entertaining. It's 27. In New York, there are so many different restaurants that open and close every day that a person could eat for 54 years straight in different places every day without repeating even one place. 28. If you thought your neighborhood was dangerous, you should see this video. Apparently, in June of 2017, a tire store in Texas, United States was robbed so many times that the owners decided to buy a guard dog. The next time the store was robbed, the thieves took the poor dog with them. Also 29. The Burj Al Arab is the only 7-star hotel in the entire world. Additionally, a room can cost up to $30,000 for a single night, and each guest is given a gold iPad to use during their stay. 30. If you thought your toilet in winter was the coldest place in the world, it's because you didn't know that Oymyakon is a city in Russia, where they reach temperatures of minus 62 degrees Celsius in winter. And the cold is so harsh that the poor Russians' eyelashes freeze and give us epic photos like this one. Before I go, let me greet some subscribers. First of all, a big but big greeting to Alonso Rapa, who was sick, then another big greeting to David Barahona and to all of Ecuador. Another super greeting to Time Arcade, who is new, and a big greeting to I Don't Know What to Do. Then I'm going to send a big but big greeting to Diamer Cruz Pena, also another big greeting for Nick Tiger, who is new to the channel. Another welcome greeting for the Ronald, who recently subscribed. And then I'm going to send a little greeting to JG Tour, who I hadn't been able to greet in the previous videos. Another greeting for Foxplay, who really liked the previous video. And finally, I'm going to greet Alvin Morales. Another greeting for Joanna Paredes, and the last greeting goes to Edison Ceballos. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to share the video and channel with your friends. That way, we are growing more and more. Mr. Curiosity here. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell to catch every new video. I'm Mr. Curiosity.